Okay, so when you think of the greatest defensive ends, I would say Reggie White is the most common to be put number one. While Reggie White was great for his entire career, there's one season where he took it to another level, and that would be his 1987 season. Reggie White 1987 season, strong case being at least top 10 individual defensive season. I would go as far as saying he was the best player overall that year. The 1987 NFL season wasn't your average season. It was different and more unique compared to most of the seasons. It was a season that featured the player strike, replacing players, and players playing less games. With the strike lasting for 24 days, a few games had to be canceled. For the next 3 weeks, teams relied on replacement players, injecting a new level of unpredictability into the games. At the time, Reggie White was in his third NFL season with the Philadelphia Eagles. At this point in his career, he was regarded as a promising star, but the dominance he unleashed in 1987, despite the season's chaos, was unimaginable. Although he played just 12 games, Reggie White's season remains one of the most memorable in the history of the league. During the 1987 season, Reggie White's 21 sacks in 12 games translated to an astonishing average of almost 2 sacks per game. By comparison, the NFL's official record for the most sacks in a season by a player is 22.5, which is set by Michael Strahan 2001 and TJ Watt 2021. Playing 16 games, Reggie White was just 1.5 sacks shy of the record despite playing in only 12 games. It's important to remember that this was not an era of pass heavy offenses. Teams didn't throw 40 to 50 times per game like they do today, which makes Reggie White's dominance as a pass rusher even more remarkable. Reggie White's 1.75 sacks per game in 1987 remains one of the most efficient seasons in NFL history, numbers that feel more like a video game on easy mode. No one could deny Reggie White the Defensive Player of the Year title in 1987. He clearly deserved it. His dominance was undeniable, and his greatness wasn't just measured by sacks. He tormented offenses at every turn, even when he didn't have a sack. He was putting pressure on the quarterback, disrupting plays, and forcing opposing teams to completely rework their strategy. Under Buddy Ryan, the Eagles' defense became a force, largely thanks to Reggie White, who was a perfect match for Buddy Ryan's high pressure system. Everything in Ryan's defense revolved around quarterback pressure with blitzes, stunts, and clever alignments, all crafted to disrupt the passer. Reggie White was the anchor of that defensive plan with the ability to line up anywhere and control the game. Even when opponents doubled him, Reggie White was unstoppable, routinely breaking through and causing chaos in the backfield. Reggie White's impact extended beyond himself, as his constant attention from blockers gave linebackers such as Seth Joyner and defensive backs like Wes Hopkins the opportunity to make big plays. It's safe to say that the Eagles defense wouldn't have reached the same level of success without Reggie White. At 6'5" and 291 pounds, Reggie White was a perfect blend of size and speed, capable of overempowering offensive linemen with brute force or outpacing them with his elite quickness. Beyond his physical tools, Reggie White was a true technician. His ability to use his hands, control leverage, and time his moves, it was second to none. His legendary hunt move deserves its own spotlight. With sheer power and perfect leverage, he tossed offensive linemen out of his way like they were weightless. Even when offensive linemen knew the hunt move was coming, they couldn't do anything to stop it, to counter it. Reggie White, his strength, speed, and mastery, it was just too much to handle. It wasn't just his physical dominance. Reggie White had incredible football intelligence. He could analyze offensive linemen, anticipate their moves, and adapt his strategy on the fly. No conversation about the 1987 NFL season is complete without mentioning a player strike, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Now, of course, due to the player strike, Reggie White played in just 12 games that year. Think about what his stats could have been like if he played a full 16-game season. If you extend his production of 21 sacks in 12 games to a full 16-game season, he'd be on pace for about 28 sacks, which would completely demolish the current record for the most sacks in a season. It's entirely possible that Reggie White could have been even more dominant with a full schedule. He thrived on momentum, and he was on fire that season. This is one of the biggest what-ifs in NFL history, yet, even though Reggie White played 12 games, he still managed to have more sacks in a season than nearly every other player who played 16 games. Reggie White's 1987 season performance wasn't just measured by stats, of course. It was about his game-changing influence. He disrupted offenses, struck fear into the quarterbacks. He became a standard for defensive dominance. I don't think there's even more than 4 or 5 seasons by a defensive player that have been just as impressive. So there you go. That's it for this video. Leave a comment and tell me what you think. Thank you for watching.